the good times. Let's go. Oh my God, I didn't even share this stuff. What are you gonna do, folks? Let it roll one more time. Be right there. Give me a hot second. I'm looking at something somebody had reminded me of. And I'm supposed to write a check to these people. You know what I mean? Every April? We're supposed to pay them, Laura, to do this to us? Can't be constitutional. You know what I mean? Legit, man. Legit. Legit cannot be constitutional, folks, to pay an entity to basically run you through the mud. It can't be legal, whatever, legitimate to have this happen. Obviously, it was tax day yesterday. We'll talk about it. Welcome to Inside the Numbers with the People's Pundit. I'm your host, Rich Barris, People's Pundit. Another year, another survival. God knows how. All right, don't forget if you like the videos to like them and to share them far and wide. Of course, the link to the public polling project is also below. Do not forget to contribute to that if you can and share it far and wide. This is going to be a bit of a hodgepodge today. I have some stuff about polling I want to talk about, and then something I want to laugh about, which is, really not a laughing matter. Yesterday was tax day, okay? You had a bunch of people get out their checkbooks and pay money to a federal government that's mismanaging their money. And in some cases, in cases like Mark Mitchell and I, and by the way, I saw Robert Barnes on there too, which I'll show you in a second. You're actually being labeled by the State Department, who doles out money. And these are all the circles. This is why everybody wants an ambassador job, guys. Okay. Ambassador to Kalamazoo. Well, that's Michigan, but ambassador to, I don't know, Saraveo. I don't know. Like Taiwan. No, Taiwan's too big of a deal. You could ask for ambassador to, like, give me some small unknown country. Dubai, or is another big one. Something like it totally irrelevant. All right. Because you get at that point to direct a lot of money to a lot of big people who then give you favors in return for this. Okay. All of the parties that Nikki Haley wanted to go to because she was the United Nations ambassador, by the way, that's a big one. All right. You're going to meet all of these people from foreign nations, whether they're third or first, frankly. And you're going to get a lot of money opportunities. Her family made a fortune, as you guys may or may not know. They made a fortune because of her position. And she wound up leaving the public sector in order to do this. So USAID, all this other stuff that we've learned about since, it's like everyone knows that's the racket and that's the scam. But it cannot be legal, if you ask me, and I'm no lawyer. But it cannot be legal to force me to pay to an entity, a government entity, that then redirects my own money to government and non-government organizations and institutions that then trash the hell out of me, okay? And actively try to destroy you, destroy your career, destroy your business. There's a lot of places you would even consider mainstream that are targets. It's not just people like us. But somebody had just reminded me about that, and we'll get to that in a second here. But I guess first things first, locals, you're going to know because I already shared this with you. But yesterday there was a poll from Yale University that came out. And this poll basically showed what we have been telling you guys for a long time. Oh my God, I'm sorry, guys. I just saw your comment. All right, I'll kill it for non-subscribers. Woo, give me a second. I'll kill it for non-subscribers. I didn't realize I didn't turn that off. My bad. All right. And what we've been telling you, starting with the Republican primary for president, was that there was this age group, younger age group, that it seems to me the liberal media, the entertainment industry, all of the influences that have informed younger voter opinion for years somehow missed out on this generation. All right. They lost their grip on it. And something happened where they were no longer able to direct or inform those opinions. And then obviously, what does that translate into? That translates into not being able to dictate or have a massive influence on how those people are going to vote. And this is something that we had noticed, right? For a while, for a long time. And then that persisted into the general election. And by a long time, I mean, it's been almost 2 years since we started talking about this. You had all the scam pollsters, the pay for play pollsters like Chris Wilson at WPA, Intel, right? All of the Jeff Rowe crew, all of those people who work for Ron DeSantis, you remember sending out mails and emails and text messages and social media posts trashing me, all because I picked up on a trend and I picked up on something that was massively significant to the outcome of the presidential election last November, which is that there was a group of young voters identified as 18 to 24 specifically that would vote for Donald Trump, but would not vote for Nikki Haley or would not vote for Ron DeSantis, right? And that deepened as we got past the presidential nominations and we got into the actual presidential election. That deepened. That became a bigger thing. Okay. So let me just go ahead and put that there because I really can't focus on it right now as a polling thing. So I have been on Newsmax, John Solomon. I don't even know. I don't even know anymore. I've been everywhere talking about this for those 2 years. And yet somehow, because Yale University polled it, it's all of a sudden something new and it's an emerging trend. It's not an emerging trend, okay? And I'll go back. We'll just be nice. I'll be nice at first. And I think it's Zachary Danini from Yale polling. I have nothing against the kid. I'm not going to bring this up to him, but I do have something against the industry. I don't know what, if any, capacity he served in polling before, right? But he writes here that a sharp age divide is emerging within the Gen Z in the latest Yale polling data. 18 to 21 is R12, R plus 12. 22 to 29 is D plus 6. Now, they take smaller sample sizes than we do. And actually, most people do. And we offer a broader range of age and detailed age demographics to publicly. But rest assured, when I tell you that they're still looking at different subgroups, regardless of whether they publish them publicly for you to see, believe me when I tell you they are. He's a little bit weird here, this 18 to 21. We are 18 to 24 when it comes to this, but he may be getting a little bit of noise here. He also has a smaller sample size, but the 22 to 29, he says, is more democratic. We really have it to 24 to 29, but look, let's not be too, or 25 to 29, excuse me. I mean, it's very close. The general theme, however, is that the youngest of the young age group is not only more Republican, but it is kind of Republican, like pretty Republican. Donald Trump did, in fact, win 18-year-olds. He did, in fact, win that smaller age bracket within the 18 to 29s. We know that now. Exit polls are done on the fly, and they're flawed and adjusted over time. We have post-election studies, but we didn't need them to tell us that. We already knew that was the case. My point is, number one, it's not emerging. Second point, more important point in my mind, where the hell were the rest of you? There's no chance they didn't see it too. I know they saw it because the Chris Wilsons attacked me and the rest of them came out and attacked me over it. I turned out to be right. They turned out to be wrong. They're not real men with real male, personhood. So they didn't apologize like real men do. We just continued on like nothing happened. And now we're seeing these pollsters all of these months later pretending as if this is friggin' novel or something. It's not novel. They were lying to you, and now they're going to pretend as if they've discovered this new emerging trend or something. It emerged 2 years ago. They were lying to you about it. There's really only two explanations. One is they're real, or there is a third, a little combo of one and two. I guess there's a possibility there could be a hybrid reason, but there's only two with a third potential option here with the caveat that this could have happened. One is they're so bad at their jobs, they missed it, right? I suppose. But bear in mind, just like everything else, what's his name over at Qantas talking about the same thing. There comes a point where there's enough presented evidence that it's hard for that option to still be viable. Because, of course, we already knew they were wrong and I was right. We know that now. It's not disputable. So now they're just acting like this is new or something. Is this an act? Are we playing a game here? So that, to me, in my mind, call me cynical. I was not born with a silver spoon in my mouth. I'm not ivory tower bred. I mean, I'm from the working class streets of America, and in those streets, like, we don't believe bullshit. Right? I mean, it's that simple. Like, obviously your actions can give us an idea of whether or not you're being honest about something you may have said or what you claim. It's the same thing in my mind. Were they really doing this on, accidental? Jesus, get out of here. If I hit the FU button, I hit the FU button. It means FU. Call later. But it's the same thing in my mind that we have seen since like 2016. There's been, and by the way, this problem started before that, but it got really bad in 2016. There was ample evidence to suggest that they were doing something wrong if they were really just doing something wrong. If it was their data collection mode, or if it was the way they interviewed people, or if there was something in their methodology that was causing more than just typical artifacts to arise from the polling, right, to be created from these polling methodologies. It was beyond that. And every speech I gave all over this 4-year period from 2016 to 2020, and then even, God, it's been 8 years now. And every speech I gave about polling that was detailed and related to that, I always said there really can only be two explanations, like I'm doing right now. One is it's a methodological issue. But again, because so much evidence over the years has been presented to show them, like any rational, unimpartial person who does this job, you are doing this wrong, and here is what you're doing wrong. And you should then change those methodologies. You should adjust. You're not chasing the weight here. You have a systemic problem where you're awful at what you do. And everything is always biased in favor of one party. So you're either doing something so wrong that it's causing one direction misses over and over and over again, something statistically implausible, okay, if you're doing it right. And if you have a sound methodology, it's just not statistically plausible to be missing in one direction year after year after year after year, every single poll. Give me a break. So then that really only leaves the other option here, which is there's an ethical problem, that they know they have these issues, or they're doing it on purpose, but it doesn't matter. They both fall under the ethical side of these scenarios, of these two scenarios. It's ethical. It's not methodological. You see pollsters like Marist. Great example. They finally changed their methodology, but yet they still blow it because of some other thing that they did that impacted the results that they published. And guess what? They not only missed again, they missed all in one direction, all overstating Harris. They never picked up on this young voter trend, ever. And those who did, like Ann Seltzer, fudged their numbers everywhere else so badly in an effort to try to compensate for that trend and what it would mean for the overall result. So much so, she wanted us to believe that senior Republican men were moving 30, 40 points away from Donald Trump. So in my mind, it's all ethical at this point. Even if it is methodological, it doesn't matter. It's still ethical because there's enough evidence to suggest that they should have changed that methodology. And the only reason that they would not change that methodology, folks, is because they wanted to keep it like that. So in the end, it just doesn't even matter. We're left with the same conclusion anyway, which is that they're just not credible. And in my mind, and again, I got nothing against this kid, but in my mind, any polling outfit that now tries to pretend like some of this shit is novel is pulling a hoodwink on you. They're trying to hoodwink you, bamboozle. This has been the case for 2 years. I made a huge deal of it everywhere I went. Everywhere I went. I remember the very first poll in the spring before the year before the primary, and I went, and when I saw it, I've been talking to John Solomon about this for how long, Laura? If you're right, there's no way to beat him. I'm right, and there's no way to beat him. Not only did they neglect to show you all of these trends, but I will repeat this again one last time before we move on. Kamala Harris was never ahead in the 2024 election. Joe Biden certainly was never ahead. Kamala didn't shake things up. She didn't make it more competitive. She didn't give it any outcome, the doubt in the outcome of the election. She was always going to lose. Speaking of, okay? Speaking of which, now brings us, I swear, Harry's a week behind us, at least. Every damn month. We can count it like it's like clockwork. Harry is constantly just behind us. But he finally got around to a segment that we did last week, which is this narrative, which has since been shoved to the side because now it's taken a backseat to the narrative that over this deportation of a, you ready? Maryland man and father and husband or whatever. Actually, it's just a father, right? Because I don't think he is married. I could be wrong, but I wouldn't be surprised. When he's not actually a Maryland man, he's an illegal immigrant and a member of a criminal organization that's among the most violent Latin gangs in the world. And he was deported, and a circuit court judge, ICE agents, and others testified and found that he was, in fact, a member of this criminal organization. It's so ridiculous. But it's all taken, and we're going to talk about that actually today, but it's taken a backseat to it. Last week it was, if you don't remember, I'll refresh your memory. Trump voters, and that's because of this AOC tour, which I'm also going to talk about. Trump voters are even sorry they voted for Donald Trump now. I know so many Trump voters, right? Andrew Yang, he got the talking points. We brought him up. But I only used Andrew not as a punching bag. I like Andrew Yang, actually. I think he's a nice guy. I do. I think he's cool. You may notice we follow each other on Twitter. He ran for president in 2020. I thought he was a breath of fresh air for the Democratic Party. Unfortunately, he's going to go the way of the bend over Bernie dodo bird here soon, I guess, because he's just going to do the same stuff. And it's just, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt and I'll wait. But it does appear like this is going to be a tragic case of bend over Bernie syndrome. All right. But he's going on with the David Brock like talking points, and they all are. And you're looking at the polling. And if you guys, of course, if you follow me, you know this, we've talked about this. Throughout the election and before, even when we're talking about this emerging age divide, which emerged 2 years ago, and now they're pretending it's novel. There was always the statistic. We always look back and ask people, did you regret your vote? Would you vote for somebody else, right? And there was anywhere between 8 to 15% at most times. That was the normal range. Although we could find it lower, like 5%. But the normal average range was like a low of 8 to a high of 15% of Biden voters who would tell us that they screwed up in 2020 and that they would vote for Donald Trump if there was a rematch. That they messed up, they know it, and they want Trump back, right? Meanwhile, with Trump, it was a range of like 0.5 to 2%. With an actually closer, more of the the consensus was more like 2% over the long term. We never got 5. Once in a while, maybe we would get a little over 2, but for the most part, amazingly consistent, almost always 2%. I remember a New York Times poll came out and it showed less than 1, and when you looked into the specifics, it was like 0.4, and I was like, wow, that's low. But we did, in fact, ourselves once find something that little. But that's how statistics work. You're going to find something. So it's shocking when your survey error is 2%, and or roughly, because sometimes it could be as low as 1.7 to 2.1 for a national poll, but it's usually around 1.9. When your survey error is about 2.2 points or so, and you find something that actually is just 2 points, it's not even statistically significant. Okay? It's not. And that's in polls with sample sizes as large as the ones that we have, right? In this clip I'm about to show you, they're not even talking about sample sizes that large. So the fact that it's only 2% is remarkable. It means nobody who voted for Donald Trump in 2020 was ever going to vote for Joe Biden. All right. Not nobody, but so small, guys. It's like nobody. All right. So all these people who are running around X going, I know this person and I know that person. Most of it is bull, because there's just you don't. Believe me, you really don't. And if you do, that person is so fringe in this group, the overall population we're talking about of Trump voters. It's so fringe, it's not even statistically significant in the actual survey sample. Okay? It's not a statistically significant result. So, that being said, all right, and by the way, the second half isn't going to be so good for you, Donald Trump, so just wait. All right, so Harry finally gets around to doing a segment that we did last week, which is no, this is a talking point. But it hasn't, since Donald Trump was elected again the second time, there has been no change, or even more importantly, no increase whatsoever in the percentage of people who say I voted for Donald Trump and would vote for somebody else. That is fringe statistical noise. Okay. There's always somebody who says something, and that's just the way survey sampling works. Okay. It doesn't even mean that it's 2%. It could be less. It could be almost nothing. That's what it means to be within the sampling error. And that's the overall sampling error. For that subgroup, the error rate's huge. It could be nothing. It's noise. It's like, could be one libertarian living right next to Ron Paul. Okay? Like, I don't know. I'm just bringing an example. So here's Enton's segment.
Talk about Trump voters and how they feel. Do they regret their vote?
I mean, this is the big question, right? I hear all these stories, all these articles. All the Trump voters, they regret what they did back.
Is it creepy me, or just hold on a second? Is it me, or does Harry starting to sound like me? Is he did I make fun of Harry so much with the G Willigers, Wally? Holy Toledo, Batman, right? Is it me, or is Harry starting to sound a little bit like the People's Pundit? It's okay, Harry. It's a good goal to strive for, buddy.
In 2024, I'm here to tell you, very few of them regret what they did back in 2024. What are we talking about? Trump voters looking back at 2024. We got a new poll out. The poll was conducted this month. What percentage would change their vote to a different candidate? We're talking just 2%, just 2%. That's not even a wide spot on the road. And then there's this additional 1% who say they would rather not vote. We're talking overall under 5% might or would have changed their vote.
We don't say that, by the way. We force them to answer because at the end of the day, you're going to get people who say, I'd rather not vote. I'd rather not vote. But they're full of it and they're going to vote anyway. So you need to know who it is that they would vote for if you push them to do it. Because believe me, they're going to do it. And that's an awesome comment, by the way. I think so too. Let's hope so.
Donald Trump voters back in 2024. And then you ask, okay, the same question to Kamala Harris voters, and it turns out the numbers are rather similar. So if there was a repeat, if folks got to be able to redo their vote that they had back in 2024, would the result be any different? I doubt it would be. I doubt it would be, or it would still be extremely close. The bottom line is, for all this talk of Trump voters regretting their vote, in the numbers, it really just doesn't show up, John.
So the stickiness with Trump voters and President Trump in this presidency, how does it compare to his first presidency?
Yeah, okay. So, I was interested in sort of a historical analogy here, sort of, does this look similar or different from back in 2017, looking at 2016? Well, in February of 2017, 4% of Trump voters say they'd shift their vote. That's actually slightly more than the 3% this time around. So, you look back, you say, okay, there's these Trump voters who really regret their vote. Historically speaking, they really don't regret their vote. And if anything, the number this time around is actually smaller than it was the first time around. And it's certainly smaller than the number we saw coming out of 2020, of course, after the events of January 6th. So the bottom line is this. If there's some idea out there that Trump voters are going around, man, I wish I had voted for Kamala Harris instead of Donald Trump, the numbers say that is a fanciful universe. It really, for the most part, does not exist.
What about
It does not exist for the most part. He knows damn well that it just doesn't exist. It doesn't. It's not there. It's never going to be there because ultimately Trump's voting base is made up of a few groups of people. One, the group who always loved him, will always love him, and is never going to budge from that. They're not going to budge. Two, there's a new group of people, and that group has nothing in common with like a Harry Enton or a corporatist Democrat. But they're like, many of them realize, the hell am I doing voting for Democrats? They're non-white, they're men, they're younger. Some of the people we were just talking about, and they're not going to budge because AOC or the or maybe not AOC, but some of them maybe I could see that, which if we have time we'll talk about. But they're not going to budge because of what CNN and MSNBC or what Andrew Yang tweeted on. It's nonsense. It's nonsense. Their life matters more and influences their opinions more, and they're just not going to budge. And then the third group is a group that doesn't really like him, but they acknowledge that he does a good job as president, and they think the United States is better off with Donald Trump being the president. That's a hard nut to crack, and we saw Democrats try to crack it 3 times over and over and over and over. If not for COVID and the changes they did to the elections, they would never have even beaten him then. All right, so it doesn't work. 4 times a charm? It doesn't work. Move on. Which is what they're trying to do now. All right. So, oh my God, I forgot that one. Wait. I got to bring this up before we even, no, I have to, no. I have to bring this up first before, Yeah. I have to preface this clip. Where is it? Come on. Boom. Here it is. Oh, I got it. Amen. Okay. Because I cannot really show the full context unless I play this clip. All right. I'm not even going to say anything first. Honestly, I'm not. Well, I'll say what I have to say after this clip. I just think that it's very worth reminding everybody before we talk about this next topic. I think it's worth reminding everyone about this clip. But before we do that, I do have to take a commercial break. All right. Sorry. All right. Look, could your health issues be caused by an invisible enemy? Dun, dun, dun. Seriously, this is just like, if you're a prepper like me, this is absolutely a need. All right. It's a necessity, and it's just peace of mind. I mean, why would you not do this? But seriously, fatigue, bloating, maybe brain fog, could be, and I know it sounds crazy. What if the real culprits could be parasites? I was digging into parasites a lot, and there are a lot of these cleanses that, people use for them. When I came across this video from the wellness company, let's listen to it. You've heard it before, I'm sure. We'll come back.
Main differences between ivermectin and fenbendazole. These are two anti-pathogens used to treat parasitic infections and other similar types of conditions. They are used quite often in the oncology world to treat cancer. They both have as anti-pathogenic abilities.
Look, it's scary, but they're everywhere. They're everywhere. Food, water, pets. They secretly invade your body. They wreak havoc on your gut, your energy levels, even your brain. And the mainstream media medical system doesn't want you to think about it because one of the great cleanses can change your life. The wellness company has a solution for you. Ivermectin plus mebendazole. Yes, FDA approved parasite solutions now combined in one cleanse solution. And just fill out the brief medical intake. You guys know the drill, TWC, and get your 3-month supply. A lot of parasite cleanses are all over social media, but they're not the gold standard. Maha is officially here. The wellness company is making these hard to get medications digitally accessible so you can live your best life. Go to twc.health/TPP. Link is in the description. Using that code TPP can get you $60 off plus free shipping. All right. $60 off plus free shipping. You know the drill. twc.health/TPP. You may notice they're adding more thing to our page. Love the guys over at the wellness company. They're super nice. We find their products super necessary. And if COVID didn't teach you that, then you're on a learning curve. Seriously. No, unfortunately, I keep forgetting a lot to say this. It's only available in the US. All right, let's get to this magic moment because I know I didn't say anything before, but this is obviously one of the Democrats' they have a big talking point right now. And I don't know how they don't see the danger in this. And I always evaluate whether or not I think something is a smart political play or not, right? Is something going to resonate or message is going to resonate, right? We do a lot of focus group stuff, by the way, privately, and I get to see a lot of stuff that, you get in touch with the American voter. You try. That's the goal, okay? I don't know how they don't see a bit of hypocrisy and a real danger. So far, the Republicans haven't figured it out yet. We'll see if the White House does. Let's flash back to Joe Biden in his last State of the Union address, okay? There was a moment where he got a lot of scorn, and so did the Democrats for their behavior. It's one of the two major issues that won Donald Trump the election. Let's go.
It's not about him. It's not about me. I'd be a winner. Not really. Lincoln Riley, an innocent young woman who was killed by an illegal. That's right. But how many of the thousands of people being killed by illegals? To her parents, I say, my heart goes out to you, having lost children myself. I understand. But look, if we change the dynamic at the border, people pay these smugglers $8,000 to get across the border because they know if they get by and let into the country, it's 6 to 8 years before they have a hearing. And it's worth taking the chance of the $8,000. But if it's only 6 weeks, the idea is it's highly unlikely that people will pay that money and come all that way, knowing that they'll be able to be kicked out quickly.
All right. So that was obviously one of the worst moments of Joe Biden's presidency, along with the debate, which cost him the presidency for sure because he was pushed out. He obviously misspoke. I don't think he misspoke. He didn't care enough about this person to even get her name correct. All right. How do I know? I keep forgetting the name of the guy that they keep bringing up. I have to look it up. Why? Because I don't give a shit about him. I don't give two shits about him. I care more about Lincoln Riley. He, of course, said her name incorrectly. Lincoln Riley. But for a moment there, And Democrats should have seized on it. For a moment there, you almost saw the real Joe Biden. Now, Joe Biden's actions can be paid for, but his personal beliefs, despite whether he acts on them or not, they can't be. Someone can still believe something like Joe Biden believed, supposedly, his entire career. You could see it for a second there. How many people are killed? How many thousands are killed by illegal aliens? First of all, illegals. He's using the words that he's not supposed to use. The Democratic Party doesn't like to use. They don't want to use those words because they test very poorly. Undocumented, they poll terrible. Undocumented, right? Sounds much softer and much more humane. Democrats do much better when they're on that turf. But Joe, he didn't bring it up. He further buried himself because he was trying to straddle the fence. He knows damn well that that shit's wrong. He knows it. It's unfortunate that he doesn't have the courage and conviction to act on his real beliefs. But in his own words, he has always been a political whore. That's what Joe Biden has always been. His actions have always been for sale, and that's tragic. Because I think if you met Joe Biden, most of you out there, even if you're Trump supporters, I think you would like Joe Biden. This version of Joe Biden is a senile, sad-ass old man. But the Joe Biden I remember was kind of cool. He didn't believe the stuff. He didn't. Anyone who knows him will tell you this. I'm not kidding. He's not a fanatic. He's just, unfortunately, a bought and paid for political whore. But he got our name wrong. So a party who got the name wrong of a young American girl who was murdered by an illegal alien now suddenly gives a rat's ass about an illegal immigrant, member of one of the most violent gangs in Latin America, being deported, so much so they keep calling him a Maryland man, which is going to be addressed in my next clip here. But that's, of course, not true. We talked about this a little bit on Monday. It's not the job of the federal government to follow up on someone to see whether or not they are still a member of a criminal organization. All right? That's just not their job. Their job is to do the paperwork, to go through the process, to protect you. Their job is to protect you. And they were doing that when they went through the process of throwing him out. Now, we're here and Democrats have seized on this. I don't understand how people like Chris Van Hollen, who are pulling these stunts, and others, and they're all talking about it, don't see the danger in being called out on hypocrisy for bleeding your heart over an illegal gang member being deported to El Salvador when the El Salvadorian president was just in the Oval Office agreeing with the president. By the way, could you imagine the roles being reversed there? The media would be 24/7 about it. Even the El Salvadorian president. June, the El Salvadorian president was just in the White House Monday, and here's what he said. So, the critics of the president they don't even have the president of El Salvador on their side. You could hear it now. But instead, they just pretended like he wasn't there and he didn't say anything. Super Orwellian. But how Chris Van Hollen and the rest of them don't see the danger in bleeding your heart for somebody like this when you couldn't even remember Laken Riley's name and you booed her when she was brought up during the State of the Union. Fast forward to Donald Trump's appearance at the joint session of Congress. They booed an 8-year-old kid with cancer who wanted to be a federal law enforcement officer. They booed victims of illegal immigrants who committed crimes against U.S. citizens. They make excuses like, well, Americans commit crimes too. What the hell does that matter? Yes or no? Would Laken Riley be alive right now if you didn't let that freaking guy come across the border? End of story. One is too many. One. Because he should not have been here. Can't close the border. Can't do it. That's funny. Trump closed it. Since March of last year, Apprehensions between points of entry, which are illegal crossings, are down over 95%. It can be done if you have a person in the office with the political will to do it. So you killed that girl. Your political agenda killed that girl. Just admit it. You want a permanent underclass who votes for you. You want Juanita to fold your laundry. You want Jose to mow your lawn, all for peanuts. And because you sold American manufacturing and production up the river to every Asian country across the world, we don't have qualified people to do those kind of labor jobs anymore. So if you supported that, you got blood on your hands. It was never the moral position. This undocumented migrant crap, it's never, anyone who knows this world knows full well that the illegal immigration that they have allowed over decades in this country has led to untold human suffering. Countless rapes of young girls on both sides of the border, countless murders that should never have happened, and human trafficking on a scale that isn't even worthy enough to call yourself a first world country. You never had the moral high ground. If you're out there right now bleeding your heart for those people who just want to come, it's a load of horseshit. It's a load of horseshit. You see one 13-year-old's body floating in the Everglades, gator food, and tell me different because their parents couldn't come up with the money after the coyote switched the amount to smuggle her over the border. Raped numerous times, murdered, and thrown in the glades to be gators, to be gator food. A better life. My grandfather's father wanted a better life. He took a boat and registered. My mother's father wanted a better life. He took a boat and registered. He didn't support cartels in illegal enterprises that funded the harm of other human beings. Really should watch, by the way, I Was a Teenage Felon, and look at the coyote on I Was a Teenage Felon. That's an American coyote, by the way. They know. They don't give a shit. They hope you bleed your hearts for people like this, making a fortune off it. And it doesn't matter if it's the scumbag drug addict like that guy running people over the border, or the nice kept clean in a tailored window pane suit who calls himself an immigration lawyer or herself. They're all scumbags. They're all on the cartel payroll. They're non-human rights activists. They're human smugglers. The other day we played a clip, Stephen Miller, over this very same issue, talking about this deportation, thrashing Bill Hemmer. Today, Pam Bondi went back on to Bill Hemmer, and they spoke about this very thing, among other things. Some of the president's order to keep biological men who are delusional and think they are women competing and robbing women of their opportunities in sports, etc., etc., etc. Women beating, in case you guys missed it last year, is now an official competition at the Olympics. Here's Pam Bondi.
That was shipped out to El Salvador, had been living in Maryland. It's a hot topic. Wall Street Journal editorial board summarizes it the following way. It says Mr. Trump would be smarter to play the long game. He has many much bigger issues than the fate of one man that will come before the Supreme Court. By taunting the judiciary in this manner, he's inviting a rebuke on cases that carry far greater stakes, end quote. What they're saying is keep your powder dry for now. Don't blow it on this guy. What do you think about that?
Well, we did the right thing. It was one additional step in paperwork that needed to be taken. Now he is declared as a foreign transnational gang member. So, Bill, even if President Bukele said, we'll send him back, all that would happen is one more step in paperwork and he would go right back to El Salvador.
Let me just tell you, a couple of hours ago, Bukele rejected the request by Democratic lawmakers to have him brought back along with allied groups. He rejected it. He said he will not. He will stay in El Salvador and he will likely spend a lot of time behind bars.
Because he is an MS-13 member. ICE testified to that. There was a witness testimony. There was an immigration judge who testified in 2019. There was an appellate judge. All of these individuals and judges ruled that he was a member of MS-13. They are one of the most violent gangs. He is an illegal alien, and I'm sick of the liberal media saying that he's a Maryland man. He's not a Maryland man. He's a guy from El Salvador who's part of one of the most violent gangs in our country.
He's not only one of the most violent gangs in our country. He's one of the most. They're one of the most violent gangs in the hemisphere. It's unbelievable to me. If you live in Northern Virginia, you were terrorized by this gang for like 10 years. This is what elicited the response from Donald Trump saying that he believes CNN hates the country. Because you have to be able to lie to their people like that. You want people to be victims of crimes. You want young girls to be raped and murdered. You want, sadly, for a generation of young men who have no fathers to find fatherhood in a criminal entity, a criminal organization that will ruin the rest of their likely very short life because they're going to die anyway from gang activity. You love America? But I will say this. I'm going to play this video of Chris Van Hollen, and we're going to look at what he did. Now, obviously, guys, obviously. So I got to remove that. Sorry, my bad. Obviously, this is a stunt. Obviously. But I will point something out when we're done here. All right? Let's roll this. So here's Chris Van Hollen landing in El Salvador. He'll be returned to the United States without Mr. Garcia. And we're talking about Kilmore Abrega Garcia, a Maryland father. All right. Notice they don't classify him as a Maryland husband and father. All right. They all have kids. What are you talking about? As if that's some unique reason we're all supposed to feel sorry for him. You're probably going to wind up paying for 10 of them. The hell out of here. Give me a break.
I just landed at the airport in San Salvador a little while ago. I'm now en route into the city. Looking forward to meeting with the team from the American Embassy. And I do want to thank our Foreign Service and the whole team at this embassy and embassies around the world for all the good work they do on behalf of our country. I'm proud to co-chair the bipartisan Foreign Service Caucus that stands up for the men and women who are serving our country overseas and at home in the State Department. After that, I hope to meet with some high-level government officials from El Salvador. As I've said before, the goal of my visit is to talk to people here about the release of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. I told his wife and his family I would do everything possible to bring him home, and we're going to keep working at this until we're successful. I also hope to have the chance to meet with him, but we'll have a better idea if that works out a little later on.
Yo, you know Tango, her husband, gringo. I'm sorry. Yo, you know Tango, her husband, Chris. I don't know if your gringo ass is going to be welcome back at that house, boy. It's oh Lord. Yeah, right. It's just so laughable. It's so ridiculous. Yo, she's gonna have to do all that bagging herself now. Shit. Don't forget to wear gloves. Shit gets through your fingertips. I'm not, listen, this is ridiculous. This is so, they don't, what my point is, this is a party who didn't give two shits about Lincoln Riley. Their president couldn't even say her name correctly, didn't even know her name. And they're now making this their charity case. I just don't think voters are going to see it this way. I just don't think they're going to see it this way. Oh my Lord. In 2021, the wife put a restraining order on him, I believe, for domestic violence. You know what? We could look that up right now, actually. You want to look it up? I believe it is. Let me just make sure it is. I got that right. 2021, I believe. Yeah. So here it is. Yes, sir. From the official Department of Homeland Security X account, no doubt. All right. So you know Tango, her husband, bro. Gringo. All right. Here we go. Left arm kid. Kid beating. Even better. Oh no, that's a tattoo he has. This is a temporary protective order from Prince George County. Like I said, I don't know how anyone in and around the Northern Virginia area, unless you live in a gated community, not like the rest of us little people. Okay. I don't know how on earth you could possibly be okay with this. This is a 6-month restraining order by Jennifer Vasquez. All right, who obviously has a different last name, so I don't know if she kept it. A lot of Hispanic women hyphenate their last names. Respondent punched and scratched the petitioner, so he beat the shit out of his wife, ripped off her shirt, and grabbed and bruised her. Yeah, what a great father. Can you guys see that? I know it's very small, but believe me, that's what it says. The highlighted. In under description of harm, he was, in fact, it appears he was arrested for this, in fact, but it says, the respondent shall not enter the residence. I will not read her address. I don't know if it is her address right now, but I'm not going to do that to this woman and her family. But this is what he's saying. He cannot enter that residence, or otherwise, of course, he will be arrested. And it appears that it is an assault. It looks like he was arrested because you're getting arrested. This is or is Virginia a no tolerance state? So, yeah, because this is specific, but in some states, Florida is one of them. It doesn't matter if there's a specific complaint or any kind of documented injury. If the police are called because of a domestic violence, somebody's going to jail. Period. End of story. They are not leaving without somebody in the back of the patrol car. Don't forget that. If you fight with one of your loved ones or something like that, we all sometimes have bad moments where it's not the best of us. Do not call the police. Unless, I'm not saying if your husband's beating the shit out of you, obviously call the police, ladies. Oh God, that's going to be on media. The People's Pundit said you shouldn't call your husband if he's, the police on your husband if he's beating you. No. If he is, if he is, then obviously you got to, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, some people who, make a thing out of something. They are, Stephen. I see you laughing. They are going to do that. That's going to happen now. And I corrected it pretty quick, so we'll see. Yeah, I know. Maryland man trademark, Owen. Trademark TM, But it says, and I'll read it one more time, that he assaulted the complainant, which is his wife, and he punched her and he scratched her. He tore off her shirt, and then he grabbed and bruised. But the petitioner, I guess he squeezed so hard he left bruises. But he ripped off her shirt, so I don't know where those bruises were, but obviously they were visible and they saw them, right? So I don't want to say atypical here, but ladies, I would not suggest marrying a man who's a member of MS-13. Okay? They're probably not going to treat you with the respect that you think you deserve. Okay? All right? That you do deserve is the thing, obviously. But I'm saying this is common. This is very common. It's funny because the media and the Democrats too, they want to portray like Republican men as backward and misogynistic and domineering, yet they're bleeding their heart for this guy. Again, I just don't see any world where it's like they're still living in 2016 or 17, where that shit still worked. People were like, oh my God, the border's overrun. Let's elect Donald Trump. He's going to fix it. But then they pull all this kids in cages crap. People have learned. They've learned their lesson. The picture of the kids in cages was from Obama, and the DNA tests suggest most of those children, that's not their daddy. Okay? That's not their mommy and daddy. And I just don't see it. I think that they're stuck in a loop here. But I will give credit to Chris Van Hollen. And it's 2:59. I got to get to these last two clips. I will give credit to him. During the Doge stuff, sure, it's a political stunt, but you didn't see any Republicans during the Doge messaging war showing up on the door of Fort Knox demanding to be let in, have you? Did you? I saw a couple of people post that they sent very strongly worded letters requesting entry, but they did not show up with cameras saying, let me in, I want to see the gold. And they're not going to let you in because that gold ain't there. Hate to burst everybody's bubble. That's never going to happen. Even a representative, he or she will never be allowed in there. I know in the past, Mike Lee has tried. I think Marjorie Taylor Greene once told me she tried to get into Fort Knox. Marjorie, you ever try to get into Fort Knox? I hope someone sends this to you. I think you did, right? That was you. Or it was the other firecracker I met in Tampa. What's her name? My wife didn't like her very much. My wife thought she was too friendly. We'll leave it at that. So, yeah. She's funny. But I wouldn't feel safe left alone with her. I'll tell you that. No, sir. I was like, Jim, don't. I'm just spilling it today. Damn, spilling the tea. Spilling the tea. Women have great intuition. Let me just say that. Women have very good intuition, especially about other women. I'll tell you what, Matt. Yes, sir. I thought that was going to be an embarrassing ending to that event. Lord, don't play that. No, sir. I was like, oh, it's so nice to meet you. Now get your hands off my husband, bitch. It's true. It's true. Oh, yeah. Very nice to meet you. Take your hands off. All right. So let's get to this next thing. If we're going to play a clip of my buddy, all right, because I think he made a good point here. I do. And I think, as usual, the biggest It wasn't her. I see Souza Cat on locals. It wasn't her, but I will message you who it was. Okay. Um. Okay. So that one was very well in that scenario anyway. They're all a little. I shouldn't say that, but most of the time, a lot of members of Congress are friendly. I guess they're friendly. All right. Um, but I'm just gonna give it to you right now. Can you give me a second? All right. Yes, and Kevin, she didn't like Casey, not at all. She thought she was a wannabe Jackie O. You know, she was nice and courteous on the surface, a little weird in the face, but like a weird little, I don't know. I tend to take guys. You should listen to your wives. I am so serious. They're better at this than us. They are better. Like, we're guys and we think, oh yeah, we know how to gauge these people. We know how to gauge these. I'm a good reader. No, you're not. You're not. You're not. We're not. All those guys, Chris and Greg, all those guys at the body language crew. They'll tell you. They'll be the first one to tell you. I remember having conversations with Laura. Look, they're good guys, and Laura's read all their books, But yeah, that will be the first to tell you, because I have said to them, that Laura is a better gauge of character than me. She usually has people's numbers. I see angles. I mean, that's part of our upbringing. That's how you're going to survive. You have to see angles. But guys instinctively, actually, especially other men, they want to trust people. They want you to be they want you to be your bro, and we give people the benefit of the doubt, especially women, on that kind of thing. And we're stupid. Women are better at having their intuition is better when it comes to other human beings and the characters of other human beings. It's just it's a proven fact. I think Greg said it was like nature. He argued it was like it's nature that they're better at it, and I agree. It makes sense. I don't want to get too much in trouble here, but like, what did we do? What was our role, guys? And if we made a mistake, we could try to fight our way out of it. But women were, gatherers and caregivers, and they couldn't make those mistakes. So their intuition had to be better. I think it was Greg made that point, and it made sense. It made total sense to me. But all I could tell you is through my own experience, my wife has always been better at that. Anytime she tells me she doesn't like somebody, or thinks that somebody is, just this is their agenda. At this point, I just listen. I just listen. I operate under the assumption that she's going to be proven right, and it may take a week, it may take a year, it may take 3 years. She will be proven right. I mean, it just keeps happening. I'm married almost 20 years now, and known each other longer than that. And she's other women too. They just got it. We don't. All right. One thing we do have, however, is confrontation. And my buddy loves a good fight. And that's not where this is coming from, though. This is coming from a place of strategy, something he is actually very good at. Right. So here's Steve Bannon talking about the pace the Trump administration was moving, and whether or not some of the stuff he believes has been stalled. All right. So I want to give him maybe, what is this, a minute? I'm going to get or so, and not even, I don't think. Well, whatever. And then we'll come back, and I want to contrast it with something else. All right. So stay tuned.
Seeing this theme across many areas of the Justice Department, FBI, people we support. But, the mass deportations have not started. And I think people are starting to ask questions. This whole thing about the NGOs. And we see how powerful this is. The other day, the Catholic bishops who have been doing this for over 50 years announced they were dropping the whole program. Why? Because the federal government finally cut off the money to the NGO, to Catholic charities. You have to go after these NGOs now. You have to basically break this apart. You have to start investigations. The reason is you have to assume for planning purposes and for sense of urgency, you're not going to be here forever. We intend to be here forever, but you can't act like that. This is the FBI, the DOJ, DHS. I mean, we've got to get on with it. And this issue about the NGOs, where we actually go, where we're focusing on our time, is of utmost importance.
All right, so Steve is basically saying that some things that he thinks have stalled, or in some cases didn't get as fast of the pace as he thought they did. The mass deportations, they started with criminals. I'm going to go ahead and detract here from Steve, and I actually think on immigration, Steve is wrong. There's other things that they could go full bore on and spend their political capital on. He is right about what should happen. And that's what he told people was going to look. He ran on a mass deportation policy. We're going to throw all these people out. It's going to be the biggest mass deportation since, he said, Eisenhower, when Eisenhower deported 2 million people. But Trump started with the low hanging fruit. And he started with guys like, look, I forgot his damn name already. Kilmar Abrego Garcia. And Garcia is a criminal. And he's an illegal who's a part of a criminal organization. That's why I think it's just incredibly stupid. Somebody had wrote in the chat before, like, what are they thinking? I mean, I don't know. I think they think Democrats in many ways think it's Democrats as a party as a whole think it's still 2017, and they are not able to get out of that. That's why Trump is massively outperforming others, massively outperforming himself from 2017 as far as his numbers. And then Republicans are keeping up with Democrats on the generic ballot when traditionally, historically, they should be behind by now. So, and they're not. So this is not a good sign for Democrats. And the Senate map doesn't look good for them. So the House is their only real target as of now. It's their only real target, and it's not looking good. So they should have broke out with a 6-point, 7-point, 8-point lead by now in order to be a foregone conclusion that they're going to take the House back. And why do I say that? Because, first of all, Republicans were understated on the generic ballot. That's number one. Number two, they were in 18, already up, I believe, 6 or 7. So the map is different now, too. We had a census, right? We had a change. It's going to be difficult if the national mood is only moved 2 points. Plus, like I said, and I've told you over and over again, guys, public opinion doesn't change like that. I don't care what pollster shows you what. It doesn't change. Democrats, if they're going to get an 8-point lead, they probably would have had it already. All right? It's just true. Public opinion does not change like that. Want to contrast anyway, what Steve said and all of what we really talked about with what I know some of you may laugh at and think that, you know, this isn't the future. This isn't a real danger to MAGA. It is a danger to MAGA. It is. And I know that you don't take this person seriously. I know you don't. And I'm going to make fun of her right now. But I'm telling you, this is a problem. And if Trump doesn't move on some of the stuff that Bannon is talking about, a lot of this can come right back with a vengeance because these people are even more fanatical than the corporatist wing of the Democratic Party.
Donald Trump is a criminal who was found guilty of 34 felony counts of fraud, liable for sexual abuse. Of course he's lying and abusing and manipulating the stock market too.
You may have noticed that AOC is no longer concerned about winning Hispanic voters in the Bronx. So her Jenny from the Block accent is gone. And now she's trying to speak like a white suburban woman. Right, Robin Hood. Right? Right? She is running for president 100%. And if you discount the threat from her on the, and I'm speaking to the right here, you could seriously regret it. She has a populist undertone, whether it's legitimate, credible, or even authentic, is irrelevant. There is always a danger that the left can cobble together a populist movement that the party and the donors can get behind. That has always been a danger. And I know she's a moron. I know she's an airhead. And I know she's a complete fake and nothing about her biography is legitimate. But she's a threat. And there's a reason Bernie is running with her. Now, here's the problem. The problem is Bernie lost his populist working coalition to Donald Trump. It's gone. And we know it's gone because when Bernie ran in 2020, he was going to beat Joe Biden until Barack Obama interfered. And he did interfere behind the scenes. I've told this story over and over again. He was going to beat Joe Biden, but he wasn't going to do it the way that he beat Hillary Clinton in the state of Michigan, which is winning Democratic voters that are working class in Monroe and, winning rural Democratic voters. He lost the rural Democratic vote, which isn't big anymore, but he lost it to Joe Biden. He lost the lower class and middle class suburbs to Joe Biden. He won the upper class suburban women, white, housewives of Orange County, okay? Like he won them. And he won urban areas, especially ones that are more white, like Milwaukee and Dane, right? But Joe Biden won everything else. So this isn't that easy to navigate, but you could still see a part of Trump's populist coalition that, think about it, if somebody else, a Republican, runs for president and they're not Trump, everything we know about these people would suggest they may not vote at all. Or if they do, they may vote for a Democrat. Because they're not partisan. They are for Trump and MAGA and populism. They are not for the Republican Party. So let me just play the rest of this clip too, and we'll be back.
When he talks about rapists and criminals, he should look in the mirror.
Okay. Now, what did you notice, though, however? What did you notice about her message? And what do you notice about her crowd? The fight oligarchy thing that she's got on the front of her podium and the Bernie, dragging Bernie around, this poor guy's going to wind up dropping on the trail one day. I mean, he just, he's not giving himself a chance to just enjoy the golden years of his life. It's not authentic yet. And that's the only thing they have going for them. All of the money she's raised, which is an ungodly amount of money, it's not coming from these people. It's coming from your very traditional left-wing lunatic class and some of the Democratic establishment that is tired of losing with people like Kamala Harris against somebody like Donald Trump. So they're anticipating, smart enough to anticipate, that a J.D. Vance is going to run, and his blue eyes and clean cut and articulate, personality are going to be a real problem for them in the Midwest. So instead of running somebody like a Gavin Newsom, they're thinking about somebody else. All right. Because I think J.D. Vance would thrash Gavin Newsom. I mean, thrash him. Okay. Let's just expand this and look at our audience. What do you see? Why? Very, very why? Look at the woman bottom left of your screen. There are two of them, actually. They look like they haven't combed their hair in 2 weeks. They both have this same I hate my life and I hate men look on their face. They're wearing glasses. They're frumpy. Okay? And I guarantee you, if you get within 5 feet of them, you're going to smell petroleum oil. Okay? I'm sorry. I'm a statistician. I don't give a shit about your feelings. I'm absolutely describing these women correctly. Shut up. Show's not for you if you're offended. You have some of those, I hate my parents, I was raised privileged, and I'm a spoiled little snot. You can see some of those white men in that class who have no testosterone and can't please a woman, so instead they join Antifa. There's a couple of them up and to the left, right? We see them. And this is what she has. So far, there's nothing true. There's nothing new here. But there is the potential, if they hone this correctly, to get something new. You will notice that there are no, I am assuming gender. You may notice that there are no what in this group. Who's missing in this group? And Trump should sue her. I mean, the guy was just elected with all this lawfare. Like, nobody except for these people care about this. Nobody believes it. Everyone understands. Oh my God, Rick. Whoa. That's true. I mean, look. Someone's going to go frantically look back and say, what did Rick write? He's right. But what is missing in this crowd? The melanin. Melanin is missing from this crowd. Thank you, Giggle. Thank you. They're all feminazis and men with no T. Right? So where are the black men? Right? Yeah, but it doesn't matter. Honestly, it doesn't matter if it's Idaho or Detroit or whatever. Like, where are they? Believe me, if Harris went to a function like this, there would have been black women. Right? So, recognize this too. They always try to make the photo look. The podium behind the candidate is always what's the word I'm looking for? It's a shot. It's always produced. The truth is they couldn't find a black man. They couldn't find a Hispanic man with any real machismo. I think that one right there looks like he's like Arab. Actually, I don't think he is. They're staged. Thank you, Saul. We're right. It's produced. It's staged. They do it on purpose like this. So, like, this is a problem. It means she's going to have a hard time winning back those people in the Detroit metro area that Donald Trump took from a black woman, by the way. She is there now pretending to sound like a suburban, overly educated white woman from Idaho. And this is going to become something serious that Republicans do have to worry about. And actually, I would say any Republican has to worry about it, period. End of story. All right. But hold on one second. Oh, yeah. I would just say this. It doesn't have the authenticity yet to be that. It can be. It can get there. And they need to watch this. I'm telling you. Can't just laugh at it. But right now it lacks authenticity. And while it does, it's going to lack the appeal to people that Donald Trump really is pulling away from the Democratic Party. Then again, maybe Vance isn't the nominee. And then I'm telling you, that will beat any Republican nominee. And I'm sorry to say that, but it's just true. I'm sorry to say it because it's totally fake. But so is a Republican nominee, a generic Republican nominee. So those people will pick between the people that they think are going to look out for Wall Street and the ones who are going to look out for themselves, for them. And again, generic Republican, it doesn't matter that Wall Street bankrolls Democrats now, folks, that Wall Street Democrats are the party of Wall Street. It doesn't matter anymore. It's only what people perceive to be true. And every time a Republican fights Donald Trump, they reinforce it. All right. Anyway, that was a fun show. Don't you think? That was a fun show. I had fun. All right, don't forget, if you like the videos, to like them and share them far and wide. Share them far and wide. The best place to follow us is on Locals, peoplespundit.locals.com. peoplespundit.locals.com. You could become a member to YouTube, and some of you do both, which is incredible. We love you for it, right? Book club is Sundays. It's not this Sunday. All right, so just don't forget that. 3 p.m. It's Easter Sunday. So I think we'll all be with our families, doing our stuff, doing our thing. And most of us, obviously, the Christians, will be celebrating the resurrection. So we will not be doing book club. But that is yet another reason why you want to sign up, either to be a local supporter, which I hope you take over the YouTube, but I'm grateful for either one, because it's something that we're having a lot of fun with and you'll learn a lot from. Of course, too, another point on the agenda is the public polling project. It's April 16th. I didn't check and see where we're at now. We had a nice week last week. We had a slower week this week. I know it's the holiday. Do what you can. Share it far and wide. You know the drill. All right. It's going to be a very generic poll. Not generic like for us, but maybe we'll have a couple issue questions. But generally, we need to get a baseline because this one is going to get a lot of play. Just trust me when I tell you it's going to get a lot of play. It's going to be seen by a lot more people. All right. So we need to have a baseline. All right. This is our first poll here doing this. Wink, wink. That's going to have Trump's approval, favorabilities for him and others and members of Congress, leaders that are members of Congress, as well as right track, wrong track, economic confidence. So we really need to get this. We need to get this one. All right. Can't field it this weekend. It's Easter Sunday. I don't like doing that, but man, it better be ready to go the following week after. Otherwise, we're shit out of luck. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. And that's it. I really wish I could just come out and blab it, but like, I hope you just use your imagination. It's very, very, very important that we do this poll. Okay. It's important. It's important. All right. I'm trying to think of things I could do, I can say, but I can't. But trust me when I tell you it's very important this poll is done. All right. And we're only doing them quarterly. Right. So, all right. With that in mind, I think we're done. Right? Kick rocks. And hope you all have a great rest of the day. By us, it's gorgeous. It is a little chilly in my house for some reason, but it's gorgeous. And I hope it is by you too. Enjoy the rest of this beautiful day in America. And I will see you guys. Looks like tomorrow. If it's not tomorrow, tomorrow for locals, I guess. Maybe we'll just do it. We'll see. Keep that in mind. All right. You gonna do it? Can't do it through the door? Gotta run and get rope? Okay. Deuces! I'll do it for you. Later, guys. Tim?